Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Happy 2021. What a year it's been, but it is that time to do my yearly favorites. Just so exciting because I get to share my absolute most used favorite products of the year. Today's video is going to be beauty focused. I will also have a skincare video. I'll have a lifestyle one, so I'll have some clothing, jewelry, just little accessories I really enjoyed over the course of 2020. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss those upcoming videos, but let's just go ahead and get right into it. So as usual, I'm going to show you the products in order I would apply them to my face, starting with primer. So my first primer favorite is from a brand I really was not a fan of at first. So this totally surprised me that it ended up being so used in 2020 for me. This is the Fenty Beauty Super Glowy Super Gel. I always mix that up. This can be used as like a skincare product or as a primer, which is how I use it. This is just really unique and exactly what I was looking for a glowy primer. I've tried a lot of different glowy products for the face. Sometimes they're too sparkly, they're too heavy, they're too greasy, or they just accentuate texture in a non-flattering way. And this has the perfect consistency to not do that. It just looks so incredibly beautiful. They do have two shades of this. This is the lighter shade. I totally want to pick up the bronzy one, maybe for the summer. The best thing about this product is definitely the texture. It's a water-based product, so it's very lightweight, and the mica in it is super finely milled, not glittery or chunky at all. And I do have very textured skin, so I have to be careful with products that just tend to accentuate texture like shimmer products, and this doesn't. It gives the most beautiful glow to the skin while being very, very lightweight. I have it on my face today. I also put a little bit on my chest with a brush. So stunning. I just really can't get enough of this. Every time I open my makeup drawer, it's the first thing I put on my face, no matter what foundation I'm using, because it just always looks stunning. So totally recommend this. This is also perfect if you have more combo to oily skin and you have a hard time finding a glowy product that is not too greasy for you. So absolutely love this. Since that was my favorite glowy primer of the year, I chose to pick a mattifying one too. This is the Beauty Changemaker Skin Optimizing Primer for normal to oily skin. This is a primer that's mattifying without being too drying. I think what I like most about these primers is they're not too glowy or too matte. They're kind of just a nice middle ground where I think they're gonna work for a lot of different skin types, and they don't like disrupt my skin or my makeup, and I don't have to choose specific products to use them with. They really work with anything, and it just depends how my skin's feeling that day. The texture of this primer almost feels like a lotion, and it doesn't dry down. It kind of just leaves a nice silky base. And again, it's one I think would work for a lot of different skin types. So this is always the matte primer I reach for if I'm feeling a little bit oily or like in the summer months. Moving on to the category of skin tints and lighter coverage products. First product is another one from Fenty Beauty. This is the Slipcover Broad Spectrum SPF 35 Tinted Sunscreen, Mineral Sunscreen Tinted Moisturizer type of product. This they actually recently came out with, I believe, in the fall. So pretty new to their line. Again, something I wasn't sure I was going to love, but this is my go-to SPF if I want something that is tinted. Way better than the Ilia one in my opinion. That one was just like way too greasy and heavy for me. If you have very dry skin, you might like that. This is a nice middle ground where it has a pretty good amount of pigment to it, but it's not too glowy or too matte. It just gives you a super healthy finish. It's definitely more on the glowy side, I would say, but it's not too much for my combo to oily skin. Sets down nicely and is just really easy to rub in with your finger super quickly and head out the door. This next product is something I had recently tried, and I literally haven't even gotten a chance to share this with you on my channel yet because it is so new to me and I've just been so busy with holiday content. But I've been meaning to share this for a while now since I started using it. It's from Arrive, which is like a newer, cleaner beauty brand called Skin Boost Perfecting Tint. I have the shade medium here, also have the shade light. I think they could definitely add some more shades to this because it's not as sheer as I was expecting it to be. It's almost like a really light coverage foundation, which is so beautiful. What I think makes this so special is because I don't find I've ever tried really a skin tint that isn't dewy. Like this is not dewy. It's a really pretty satin matte finish. Personally, I love those types of finishes for my skin type. I feel like they wear way longer, and this has like a surprising amount of coverage to it. I use this all the time if I'm just going out really quickly. Definitely rub it in between your hands. Make sure you have like a moisturizer on because it's just more of a matte finish, so you want to make sure you have a nice prep base to it. It looks beautiful. It does not accentuate texture. It wears well. I feel like I've been super critical with makeup. The more that I try like more makeup, the more critical I get. So this stuff in this video is really like top-notch stuff that is in my everyday makeup drawer and I'm using all the time. So this was a surprise hit for me, but I love it. And I also wanted to mention the Sephora S Clean Glowing Skin Foundation because I feel like this is such a steal. For the price, it's an amazing foundation. Again, another line I wasn't expecting a lot from. I feel like that's kind of the theme of this year, is like almost products I wasn't expecting to like really kind of wowed me. Not everything from this line is like a hit, but this was definitely one of them. So this is just called their Clean Glowing Skin Foundation. I include this in sort of the skin tint category because it is lighter coverage. You can build it up, but it has a stopping point where you can't really get it past medium without like using extra products or concealer. But if you like light coverage, you like something a little more hydrating and moisturizing, but not too much where you can't set it down or it doesn't wear well, definitely check this out. It's 20 bucks and it's just like a go-to if I want something lighter and I know it's gonna look really pretty on the skin. Solid foundation. Moving on to the foundation category, I wanted to start with one I haven't been using a lot lately, but I had like a thorough love affair with this foundation in the summer. You guys watch back those videos, like I was using this all the time. It's the Bite Beauty Changemaker Supercharge Micellar Foundation. Tell by this bottle, I've really been using this up. This is the shade L20. Bite Beauty in the summer came out with all of their new clean complexion products, which is super exciting, and this really blew me away. I really wish it didn't have as many like essential oils and fragrance ingredients because it does irritate my skin a little bit, which I just recently found out that it did. When I was using it for a couple months, it seemed to be fine, but every time I put this on, my skin doesn't seem to love it too much, so that's really disappointing. If they made this in like a fragrance-free version, it would be amazing. This is a great medium coverage foundation. Again, looks supremely natural on the skin, just like the Sephora Clean Glowing Skin Foundation. This one, they're actually pretty similar finishes. They're on that like hydrating, moisturizing, but not glowy type of finish. Honestly, really hard to describe other than just calling it a natural finish. So a really solid foundation, wears well, all that jazz. On to my full coverage favorites. These are not clean foundations, but they really work for my skin and have amazing staying power. And these two have been my go-to recently. I don't know why in the winter I just always prefer something that's like more long wearing. I know usually it's the opposite, like you want something a little more dewy in the winter and long wearing in the summer, but these, I don't know, they've just been really jazzing me up. That's kind of weird. I've just really been enjoying them. First, let's start with the Colourpop Pretty Fresh Hydrating Hyaluronic Foundation. I use the shade Light 50W. I love how this comes in a pump. Cap gets pretty dirty, but this is the perfect, really full coverage foundation that has a pretty natural skin finish. It's what I have on my face now. I would actually say it's more of like a medium to full coverage. With a sheer layer, it can be medium, but can also be built up. I did about 2 layers on my face to get really full coverage today. I was just feeling the glam vibe. Again, when that's affordable, great long wearing, the scent isn't overpowering, and it's just a super solid foundation pick for me. And my next pick is for all of you who love a good matte, super long wearing, like super budget-proof foundation. Definitely mask proof as well. This is the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop Full Coverage Foundation. Another product picked up on a whim. I wasn't sure I was gonna like it, ended up loving it, and I use this all the time. The shade Nude, I actually really love the shade of this. I have a nice shade range to pick from, and again, one that's affordable. This does not irritate my skin. It has a matte finish to it, but it doesn't accentuate my texture. You wear this and set it with powder, like it will not budge. It's also super thin and lightweight on the skin, which is just like dream formula right there if you need something that's long wearing. I use this probably a couple times a week. I go between these depending on like what I'm going for. This one's a little more hydrating. This one if I want something super matte and budget proof. If you have dry skin, definitely moisturize. I wouldn't recommend this if you have very dry skin, but if you're like normal to drier, make sure you're well moisturized or use a just more moisturizing primer. And I think you could still use this because it's not drying at all on me and it's just so freaking good. I feel like I tried so many foundations this year. It would have to be a whole separate video. That might be fun to do. If you guys are interested, let me know. I'll do like a 2020 foundation roundup because there's a lot and I feel like I could say a lot of things about a lot of them. It's a lot. Also, I'm super picky with foundations, so really trust me on those picks. If you have a skin type similar to mine and seem to like the type of products that I enjoy. Next to concealer, I only have 2 here to mention. These have gotten a ton of use on my face in 2020. First is one you guys have probably seen me. I use this all the time. Cover FX Power Play Concealer, shade N Light 1. Really solid concealer, medium to fuller coverage, sets down nicely, doesn't crease. Just a really simple, non-problematic formula. formula that works for my under eyes and does not crease. I get creasing a lot if I have a more dewy or just like glowy concealer, so this is a nice middle ground where it doesn't look dry under the eyes but it also has good wear time. Next is a more affordable option from Target, the drugstore, wherever you can find e.l.f. This is the 16 Hour Camo Concealer. This is the original, the matte finish. I actually prefer this one over the hydrating one. The hydrating one just creases a little bit on me, although I do feel like that one looks really pretty on the face. I feel like I just tend to gravitate more towards matte products. If you couldn't already tell, I feel like glowy products definitely go with the hydrating one. This is the concealer I'm currently wearing under my eyes. Blends beautifully, has tons of coverage, but is lightweight and sets well. It's just one of those products that is gonna wear for a super long time. Pretty classic. Definitely a dupe for the Tarte Shape Tape, but even better than that formula, it's not as like dry and sort of matte as that one is. So if you see this at the store and you need a concealer, I totally recommend picking it up. This is the shade Light Ivory, which I really enjoy. It has like a little bit of peachiness to it, so it helps to cancel out your dark circles. But yeah, love it. Onto powders, only 2 products to mention, one for the face, one for the under eyes. Obviously my favorite for under the eyes is the Ilia Soft Focus Finishing Powder. How many times have I talked about this? Probably a million. You guys know what I think. It's really nice and lightweight and just looks super smoothing and airbrushing on your skin. I actually don't like totally love this for all over the face, although I do use it like that sometimes. It's mostly for under the eyes. It just literally makes things look airbrushed and perfect. It is a pricier powder, but for being talc free, I think it's totally worth it, and I've gone through so many of these and I use it so much. You guys know I love it. That's all I have to say. My favorite powder for the face of 2020 is the Covergirl Clean Fresh Pressed Powder. A lot of more clean launches from conventional brands this year seems to be like a more trending thing, which is whatever. It's cool to see them just make different types of products. So this is a translucent pressed powder. They also have tinted versions of this, but it's similar to the Ilia one where it's soft without being too dry looking, but it sets your makeup well. And what else is there to say about a powder? It works well. I like how it's on the more affordable end of the spectrum, and it's actually pretty cute packaging as well. Alright, we're actually making pretty good time here. Hang in there. Almost halfway done. We are probably halfway done. Give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying it at this point. But let's get to bronzers. I have 3 products. One includes a contour product. So first is a bronzer that's actually a highlight formula and only has 2 shades. One is a highlight and one would be a bronzer for lighter skin tones. They do have another bronzer option that has inclusive shades, but this is just my recommendation if you have a skin similar to mine, and it's just one that I used a lot. So this is the Honest Beauty Dusk Reflection Luminizing Glow Powder. This is their highlight formula, but it's very soft, not like chunky or glittery at all. It just has the prettiest reflect to it, and it's the perfect tone as well. Not too red, not too like orangey. It just looks really natural on the skin, which is why I gravitate to this so much. You can buy this on Amazon. Not super high end, not like drugstore prices though, but it's a good one. For my bronzer pick that has more than 1 shade is the Fenty Beauty. These are just called their Instant Warm Bronzers. My packaging is pretty dirty. I have the shade In the Sun, which is the lightest shade. Shade range in this is great because there's a lot of different undertones and shade variations, which I definitely appreciate because sometimes I can't find a bronzer that's light enough or the right tone. This one is just a beautiful, warmer bronzer. It is matte, so this would be like my favorite glowy one. This is my favorite matte formula. I mix them sometimes or layer them. This is in my everyday makeup drawer. It's such a go-to. Formula is really beautiful, smooth, blends well, packaging is cute. And if you guys haven't tried anything from Fenty Beauty, I would probably start with one of their cheek products. I think they're really great. My contour favorite of the year is also from Fenty. This is actually the first Fenty product I had purchased. It's their cream bronzer. So they have contour and bronzer shades in this line. I actually want to pick up like more of a bronzer shade. This one is 01 Amber, which by looking at it, very taupe, which for me is perfect because I am very fair. I find that a very cool tone contour color just is more flatter on me. The formula on this is very unique for a contour product. I feel like a lot of contour creams are super pigmented, and because of that you have to be very light-handed and it could get muddy looking super quickly. This is more of a sheer, glowy, blendable formula that still still has staying power. Because of that, I feel like it's so unique and it's become my favorite contour product because it just gives you like a wash of shadow, which I feel like is a lot more natural looking, easy to use, and it does have a slight glow to it, but it's like the perfect amount of glowiness, if you know what I'm saying. Super beautiful, glowy cream product. 2 blushes and 2 highlights to mention, and then we're right on to eyes. My favorite cream blush of the year is the Tower 28 Magic Hour blushes. This is the, no, that's, I forget which one's the shade name and what's the actual name of the product. I think they're called the Beach Please blushes. This is the shade Magic Hour, which is sort of this mid-tone pink. Definitely matches my shirt at the moment. Tower 28 was, I think they launched this year. Very new brand to the scene. They got into Sephora. This is very beautiful and glowy. I'm definitely not one to gravitate towards very glowy cheek products. You guys know I love powders for the most part. It just lasts a lot better. This gives you such a pretty glow and they're extremely pigmented. They can be sheared out, and they also have 2 other shades. They have a like deeper fuchsia one and then the orange one, which I believe is called Golden Hour. Really pretty formula from a cool new brand, and that's about that. For my favorite powdered blush, I wanted to pick this because the shade is really unique in my collection. I also think this formula is super unique. The Bare Minerals Bounce and Blur blushes. This is the shade Blurred Buff, which is this super pretty, like muted terracotta, has a little bit of sheen to it. It is a bouncy formula, so it's like a cream and powder hybrid. But I feel like it works with just like a regular powder brush, which is like good for me. You can also use your fingers, but you know, either way works. Super pretty shade. It's very just muted and it kind of like matches my lip color. Really nice if I want to blush, but I don't want anything like too dramatic. And I also need something that goes with a lot of different eye looks or lip shades. This is definitely my go-to because it is so neutral. So this was a really fun blush discovery of the year. That was it for blushes. Really not a ton that I discovered this year. I have a ton of blushes, but like none of them like impressed me that much. There's definitely ones I use a lot, but those were the 2 that really stood out to me in terms of their formulation. Onto the highlights. I also have 2 highlights here. First is one I don't really use as a highlight that much, but it is in the highlight category. I have it on today as a highlight. I'll explain. This is the Ofra Cosmetics. It's just the Beverly Hills highlighter wheel. So I actually love this for eyeshadow, primarily these 2 colors. I also enjoy it as a highlight. It's just a little bit more dramatic than what I would usually go for, but this is so pretty. I think as eyeshadow it's stunning because it's not too chunky and it looks super smooth. I have the white shade on my inner corners today, and you can tell I'm like almost hitting pan on those 2 shades, and I just use this all the time, so I feel like I had to mention it. For the highlight I use more often for my face is the Bare Minerals highlight. It's just called their Endless Glow highlighter in the shade Zen specifically. This had a poor little dug my nail into an accident. Isn't that the worst? But this is super pretty. I definitely had a thing with like light pink glowy highlights this year. Really nice powder formula, one that's not too chunky or metallic. It looks very natural on the skin. This gives such a pretty pink glow to it. All right, so I had literally just filmed the second half of this video and the audio was whack. Something happened to it. So now's my second time refilming the second half. At least all of it wasn't trash. Anyway, I was saying the Bare Minerals highlight is really nice, soft, and pretty. They do have a couple more shades if you want to check them out. Everything will be linked below, of course. So moving on, we have eye products, lip products, and that's about it to talk about. Oh, brows. Let's start with brows. I have 3 products here that I want to mention. First is my favorite brow pencil. This is one from NYX, the micro brow pencil. Really classic. I've gone through so many of these. I like it more than the Colourpop one. It's affordable. I go through brow pencils really quickly, so I definitely can't fathom buying like a $30 eyebrow pencil. This one's like 10 bucks and it works really well and I like the shade. To set my brows, I use the NYX Control Freak Eyebrow Gel, which is another new discovery of mine that I've really been enjoying. It's a clear brow gel. It's very firm. I don't think this is going to be for everybody, but if you like just a basic, simple, clear eyebrow gel that keeps your brows in place, you might like this one. Sometimes the brush can pick up a little bit of product, so I just make sure to like wipe it off. It sets my brows nicely and I still feel like it looks natural and not like artificial, so that's been a fave. And then lastly is a brow powder. This is from KVD Vegan Beauty. These are called their Brow Struck Dimension Powders. So I actually got these on sale at Sephora for like $8. I picked up 2 shades. The first shade I bought was Taupe, which I thought would be good. It's just a little bit too taupe for me, and I actually ended up liking Blonde a bit better. I will compare them. This one is Taupe, this one's Blonde. You can tell Blonde is just like a little bit warmer, but it's still a really nice wearable shade. When I first saw these, I was like, why do they have shimmer in them? But it actually makes your brows look, like the name says, very dimensional, and it still looks natural. So these I use for just like whatever areas I didn't fill in with my brow pencil. I have all 3 of those in my brows today, and it gives like a nice natural look, but my brows are pretty sparse to begin with, so they still do a good job at like filling everything in. Eyeshadow, I have a couple palettes. First are the ones from PYT Beauty. These are their day to night palettes. I have the original and I also have the warm one. I definitely prefer the warm one, but I want to share with you both of them. On the bottom here is the original, and then the top is the warm. These are great because they're super travel friendly, compact, good beginner shadows because they just have everything you need to create like good basic everyday looks, but also some more fun shades. So let's start with the warm one here. This one is really beat up because I use it all the time. Like, these are all matte shades. This has like a shadow liner, warm pink, warm brown, some fun metallics, and a neutral metallic. The original one is a lot lighter and like more cool toned. I wish there was a little bit more like depth with this one. I feel like a lot of these shades are just very light. Like, what would you even use that like light pink for? Maybe like on your lid? I don't know. But the formulas are great. They blend well. They don't get patchy. They have great pigmentation and they wear well. So those are always like a go-to for me if I'm just like, I don't know what eyeshadow to use. I go for those. And then next is like my little custom palette. You might have seen me, actually I'm pretty sure I use this in almost every single video. This is just a Makeup Geek palette. I originally bought like the warm set from Makeup Geek, but these are a mix of both Makeup Geek and Colourpop eyeshadows. Both of these formulas I use every time I do my makeup, so they had to be in this favorites video. My favorite specifically is like this shade by Makeup Geek. This is like eyeshadow of the year for me. It's called Tiki Hut. It's like this muted mustard brown. This is always in my crease no matter what look I'm doing. Just some various other warm browns. Really pretty quality eyeshadows. If you guys know a palette that like looks like this with these tones, let me know because I'd definitely love to pick it up. Clearly I love those. And my favorite like fun palette of the year has to be the Magic Mini by Juvia's Place. What makes this palette so unique I think is because you get both cool tones and warm tones, which is not common in palettes. Usually they're very like one theme, like the Colourpop palette are always like very stuck on one hue. But this is great if you wanted some more fun eyeshadows but you wanted like an array of stuff and not just a cooler warm tone palette. You get this really gorgeous row of just these like gemstone shades, really deep pigmented blues, and then you get these warm tones and more wearable shades. So it's a super great palette. The quality is amazing, the price point is right, and they feel like super high-end shadows, which is amazing. So yeah, 16 shades in here. It's called the mini palette, but like the pan sizes are kind of normal. I think it's just because their other palettes that have like the 6 shades have very big pans in them. So this is such a great palette if you wanted some shades to play with and didn't want to have to buy like multiple palettes. Really nice one. Now for like single eyeshadow products, I have some from Danessa Myricks that I definitely got a lot of use out of this year, last year. So these are called their color fixes. I have 3 different formulas here. First is the mattes. You can use these on your lips, your cheeks, your eyes. You can mix them, you can play around with them. They're like a super fun creative product, literally just like this little paint. This one's the shade Exposed, which is a super pretty like rosy nude. I have one of the metallics and Iconic, which I definitely recommend applying these with your finger. The mattes I feel like you can use a brush or your finger, but the metallics I had a lot more luck using my finger. And then also I have the glaze, which is more of like a fun editorial product, not really like an everyday thing. It's literally like a face gloss. It's pretty sticky. You can use it on your lips as well, but it makes for some really cool photos. These are, especially like the matte one and the metallic, are super long wearing, like extremely budge proof and just so fun to play around with. And Danessa Myricks was one of my favorite brand discoveries of 2020 for sure. The other single eyeshadow product that I always gravitate towards if I want something glam and I know it's gonna look good and they're fun to play around with are the Audiography glitter pigments. My favorite shade honestly of all of them is probably this one, which is called Prism. It's literally just the most stunning like brown green shift that I feel like would look good on any eye color. It's just super unique in my collection, and I know when I'm wearing this it's gonna be a good eyeshadow day. And the other shade I have here is Caviar. It's more of a cooler tone brown, which I actually like. And if you've never tried these, by the way, they are pressed pigments. Use them with your fingers. You get rarely any fallout. They're not very glittery. It's more of just like a strong, gorgeous metallic. Grab these on Amazon. They're like 20 something a piece, but if you wanted to just get like one super fun shade, I think they're totally worth it, and I'm always excited to use these when I pull them out. Let me quickly talk about my favorite liners and then we'll move on. I have a liquid and a pencil. They're both from NYX. My favorite liquid liner is the NYX Epic Ink Liner. Stays put like no other. It has a brush tip to it. I used to like the Physicians Formula one, but this one is honestly better, and it's like 10 bucks. It works super well. I used it today to get my wing. Pretty basic eyeliner. I repurchase it all the time, and it's better than any of the other ones I've tried so far. And then my favorite pencil liner is another newish discovery of mine. It's the NYX Epic Wear Liner Stick, but specifically the shade Gold Plated. They have tons of other shades of these, which are like super fun. But the shade is just the prettiest, more of like a brassy gold. I love this on the waterline. This eyeliner is one of the only ones I found that actually stays on the waterline. It stays put, it doesn't run off, it doesn't irritate my eyes. So if you are like me and have trouble finding something that actually stays, try this out. You can also use it on your lid, of course. They have tons of fun shades. Amazon, Target has it. Anywhere you get NYX, I'm sure Ulta has them as well. For mascara, two here to mention. First is like, duh, it's in this video, is the Ilia Limitless Lash Mascara. I talk about this all the time. It's still my favorite mascara. It doesn't flake, it doesn't smudge. It looks beautiful. It's really lengthening and voluminizing, but it doesn't get clumpy. You can really build it up. Because of the more like spiky, just very precise brush, you can just like separate the heck out of your lashes and they look great. Expensive, but I think it's worth it. And then sort of the runner-up is the Say Beauty Mascara, which I think is actually very similar to the Ilia one. This one's like a tad bit less dramatic, but like they're very similar. This one has a similar brush. It's like a hard plastic formula. This one I find you just can't get as dramatic. Like you can still build it up a lot. It's the one I have on today on my top and bottom lashes. Either one I really recommend. I think they're both wonderful mascaras. For falsies, my two favorites. First is the Kiss 01 lashes. They're wispy lashes. These I do like better than the Ardell wispies. They're more dramatic, and I do cut them to be outer corner lashes. Check out my everyday makeup video. If you haven't seen that already, I show you guys like how I cut these and how I apply them. And then my favorite more glam lash with a thicker band are the Velour Lash of the Day collection, but specifically the ones I'm wearing right now. I don't know the name of them. I think they might be Go Viral. I will link them below. They're super like wispy, but very dramatic. It's more of like if you're a lash pro, like thicker band lashes or something that has more drama to it. These are my go-to for videos, something more glam. Not really an everyday lash for me. I would stick with the Kiss ones, but I think the style is just super pretty. Alrighty, last but not least, we have lip products. Lip liners, I want to mention three here. First is Topaz from Lime Crime. This is the closest lip liner to my natural lip color I've found personally. It's like a cool tone pink, but it's not like too taupe where it's very like brown, if you know what I'm saying. It's just very pretty. And then the next one is the NYX Suede Lip Liner in Sandstorm. These are a little bit drier than the other two that I'm going to mention, but they're still really long wearing and great drugstore lip liners. This is actually a dupe for Victoria Beckham 02 liner. Not an exact dupe, but very similar in shades. And then my last favorite is the Colourpop. This is the BFF shade. This one's very creamy like the Lime Crime one. Pretty similar to the NYX shade too. So there's Lime Crime, in the middle is the NYX one, and then at the end is the Colourpop BFF. I think all three of these are great options. Two more drugstore, one more high-end. I use these if I'm going for a nude lip like I am today. I'm wearing both the Lime Crime and the NYX one today. All right, now for lipstick. The one that I'm wearing currently is the Patrick Ta. These are the Monochrome Silky Lip Creams. The shade She's Independent is so good. It's the perfect like more warm tone pink nude without being too orange. I feel like it's hard to find a shade like this for my skin tone that's not too orange or like warm or weird looking on my skin, or sort of like washes me out. So when I found this, I was so in love with it. I hope they come out with more shades because I really love the formula. It's a liquid lipstick, but it's more like a satin. It doesn't completely dry down, but it still wears a really good amount of time. Like this is super long wearing while still being comfortable. So I love this. I wear all the time. And then, oh my gosh, you guys, this is like my favorite lip product of the year, and I literally just tried it last month. That's how good it is, and it had to make it into this video because it's so good. So this is the Victoria Beckham Posh lipsticks. If you like creamy, hydrating lipsticks, you are going to be obsessed with this formula. The shade specifically is just so pretty. This is the shade Girl. Oh my gosh. They don't really have like a scent to them. They're so smooth and make your lips look like amazing. This with just a lip liner on the everyday basis is perfection. Please try these if you haven't already. Literally my favorite lipstick formula of the year, and I just tried it, so I feel like that really says something. My favorite lip crayon is the Bite Beauty Power Move Creamy Matte Lip Crayons. These are really nice. They say that they're matte. They're not matte. They're like a satin finish. The shade Kava is such a go-to for me for layering. It's a really pretty like purple taupe shade, which has become like my new favorite color to wear on my lips. I'll add this to a nude if I feel like it's too warm, and it just is perfection. Really creamy. Not super long wearing because it's just like a creamy lipstick, but the formula is great, and it does have a sharpener, by the way, if you want to sharpen it. Really nice and portable and like more precise. And yeah, I do have a bunch of other shades of these. I actually have a whole swatch video of all the shades. If you're curious about this formula, I will link that because I literally scrubbed my lips off for that video. And then lastly, I wanted to mention like a balmy sheer lip product. This one is from Rowan Beauty. It's the Kiss My Liquid Lip Balm. This one is the shade Scout, which is not my favorite. My favorite is the middle one, which I believe is Charlie. They have 3 shades, like a light warmer nude, a rose, and then this deeper red. They are very sheer, so you can really wear them however you want. These have a beautiful peppermint taste and smell to them. If you don't like peppermint, obviously avoid them, but I really love it. Probably my favorite lip product, scent and flavor, just like feels more natural than like vanilla or something. These are super creamy and balmy and actually last a really good amount of time for being like a balmy, hydrating, moisturizing lip product. I like these way better than the Ilia ones. Those ones kind of just slid off my lips. These are amazing. I think the packaging looks super chic. They're a little bit more pricey, but I have the other 2 shades in my bag because that's how often I use them. Alright guys, so that was it for my 2020 makeup favorites. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to give it a like if you did enjoy it. Let's start the year off right. Try to get this video to 350 likes. So give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, turn on your post notifications so you don't miss the upcoming videos in my 2020 favorites series. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.